Hello everyone, my name is Komentai Dana and today I will tell you about the Minamata disease. Firstly, what is the Minamata disease? This is a poisoning in which the main nervous system is damaged by metal mercury. The disease originated in Japan in Minamata city and the disease is called Minamata disease. There were several small fishing villages along the coast of Sea Shiranui. And of course, the people of these villages will eat a lot of seafood. For the first time about the disease learned in 1950. It all started with cats eating fish from the bay. The villagers started noticing that their cats were behaving strangely. Over 50,000 cats danced strangely and then lined up to commit suicide by jumping into the sea. The villagers showed various signs and symptoms of this disease. The main signs and symptoms of which were sensory disturbance in the distal parts of the forelimbs, cerebellar ataxia, bilateral concentric visual field constriction, eye movement disorder caused by the central nervous system, hearing impairments, and balance disorder. In simple words, people's limbs and lips went numb. It was difficult for someone to hear and see. Someone had a tremor in their hands and legs. It was difficult to walk, and there were even brain lesions. At some points, people behaved just like cats who had this disease. Residents could just scream for no reasons. Then this disease appeared. In the mid 1959, researchers at Minamata University discovered the source of the disease, which they later named Minamata disease. Suspicion fell on a large petrochemical plant in Minamata, which is operated by Chisa Corporation. Let me tell you how people and this petrochemical plant affected other people by polluting nature and the fish that the villagers ate. Initially, as you can see in the picture, everything starts with a volcano and factories that release various gases, such as exhaust and volcanic gases. This is our metal mercury. After that, it entered the water along with the extraction of iron ore. Metal mercury accumulates well in fish. It all starts with a fish called Antarctic krill. Then the krill are eaten by larger fish, namely fish like salmon, pollock, and oyster, which are further eaten by tuna and trout. They are also eaten by much larger fish such as sharks, pike, albacore, tuna, and halibut. Every time a larger fish eats a smaller fish that has metal mercury in it, the percentage of mercury increases. Thus, people eat fish with a very high amount of mercury. This is how fish become infected with metal mercury, which is then eaten by people and poisoned. And go back to the Chisa Corporation. After they fell under suspicion, Chisa denied the accusation and continued production without changing the production method. Chisa continued to deny that their mercury waste causes any illness. It was later calculated that the Chisa Corporation has dumped as many as 82 tons of mercury compounds into Minamata Bay. As the discharge of mercury continued, women who had the disease gave birth to children. Of course, children were born immediately poisoned. Children were born with severe deformities. They had twisted limbs, mental retardation, deafness, and blindness. In 1959, the Minamata fishermen began to protest. They demanded that the Chisa stop disposing of toxic waste and compensate for their illness. Chisa tried to make deals with people affected by mercury poisoning, using legal documents that said they would compensate people for their illnesses but would not take responsibility now or in the future. People did not hope for anything more, so they signed the papers. In 1982, four plaintiffs filed a lawsuit against the Japanese government stating that it had failed to stop Chile from polluting the environment and was in fact looking the other way while Chile was violating pollution laws. In 1968, the cheetah finally stopped poisoning the water of the Minamata. In 2001, the Osaka High Court said that the State Ministry of Health and Welfare should have started taking regulatory action to stop the poisoning in late 1959, after researchers concluded that Minamata disease was caused by mercury poisoning. The court also ordered Chiza to pay $2.18 million in damages to the plaintiffs. In 2004, the Japanese Supreme Court ordered the government to pay $703,000 in damages to Minamata disease victims. The environment minister bowed to the plaintiffs with an apology. After 22 years, the plaintiffs have achieved their goal to make their perpetrators of the worst case of industrial pollution in Japan pay for their negligence. In 2010, Chiza was ordered to pay 2.1 million yen in monthly medical benefits to those who were not initially certified as sick by the government. More than 65,000 people have applied for the compensation, showing the more than 5 decades later, the effects of this disaster are still being felt. People's lives were immediately changed after Minamata disease. Due to devastating physical and neurological symptoms, loss of funds, and emotional trauma, efforts have been made to provide support, medical care, and raise awareness of the importance of protecting the environment. Also, Minamata disease has brought significant attention to the world. He has raised awareness of the devastating effects of industrial pollution on human health and environment, uh, leading to various changes in laws, policies, approaches, regulations, and technology. This is an example of the fact that when people harm nature, they harm themselves. I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.